rivalry week where the games mean more even if they don't count extra. How's everybody doing? I'm Jay Elson, and this is Coyote Corner. Well, USD's long-standing beefs with both North Dakota State and South Dakota State have been well documented, but this is obviously a new era in both of those rivalries. Now, since the move to Division I, USD has had some success against the Jackrabbits, winning the previous two meetings in Vermilion. Now, the same cannot be said, however, about the Coyotes' ongoing battle with the Bison. Coming into last week, NDSU had claimed all four D1 battles between the two schools. Coyotes, who came in 7-1 at the Dome this season, hope to snap that streak Thursday night. They trailed by as many as 8 in the early going, but the offense starts to come alive. Casey Kasperbauer inside for Gruce. He scored a team-high 16 points. Brandon Boss getting to the rack as well, but he took the long way. Driving layup cuts the deficit to 6. After a stop on the other end, Boss finds Kasperbauer open for 3, and he got it. And it's 22-19 NDSU. With Taylor Braun struggling and Marshall Bjorklund in foul trouble, the Bison needed someone to lead the offense, and Trayvon Wright was the guy. Hits the 3, then the fall away. Jay Wright scored 12 of his 20 points in the first half. Lawrence Alexander also helping carry the load. He had 12. Bison up 11 at the break. But this was a tale of two halves. Coyotes looking to inject a little life to start the second, and that'll work. Tyler Flack on the alley-oop, and that really got USD going. 3 minutes later, Adam Thosby, all kinds of time, and he knocks down one of his 3 3-pointers to pull the Coyotes within a pair. Ensuing NDSU possession, Trey Norris, who battled an ankle injury all week long, looked pretty healthy there. Steal and the score, and it's all tied at 52. A short time later, Bison back up 3, but not for long. Flack buries the tray. He scored all 9 of his points in the second half of the game, now knotted at 55. Coyotes finally get over the hump thanks to Boss. Another driving layup gives USD its first lead since the 17:40 mark of the first half. They'd extend it to as many as 5, but that's when Taylor Braun suddenly woke up. Just 3 field goals on the night, 2 of them in the final minute and change to help NDSU get back in front. Coyotes would get one last chance, down 3 in the final seconds. Brandon Boss' shot gets blocked. Thosby gets a crack at it as well, but his 3 goes in and out at the buzzer, and North Dakota State prevails in a thriller 66-63, just the second home loss for the Coyotes this season, and it comes on a night when they hold all Summit League players Braun and Bjorklund to a combined 6 of 26 shooting. Overall, the Bison, which led the nation in field goal percentage at better than 51% coming in, were under 27% from the floor in the second half. South Dakota State came to town on Saturday. Coyotes looking for a 3rd straight home win against the Jacks. Braden Carlson had his own agenda. He was the SDSU offense early on. After a couple of early trays, Carlson, off a great feed from Cody Larson, puts the Jacks up 7. Carlson finished with a game-high 22. USD struggled on the offensive end early on, but they'd get a big spark off the bench from Casey Kasperbauer and Adam Thosby. Those two combined to score 13 straight for the Coyotes, and that ties the game at 20. The starters would follow their lead. Trevor Gruce sinks the short jumper here, and then it's Karim Rawson. Bump and the bucket. Yotes go from down 7 to up 6. Jacks, though, would make a run before the half, and with time winding down, Zach Horseman beats the buzzer. His only bucket of the night makes it 32-31 Coyotes at the break. And SDSU would carry that momentum into the second. Chad White gets him started with a 3, and he'd add another a few minutes later. White scored all 8 of his points in the second half. State kept on rolling. Horseman finds Jordan Dykstra for 2 of his 16, part of a 30-9 run for the Jacks, which allowed them to open up a 15-point lead. But just when it looked like this one might be over, the Coyotes found some offense. Trey Norris scores 5 straight to get things started, and Kasperbauer picks it up from there. The sophomore dropped 7 of the next 9 for USD. He had a team-high 17. and the Yotes are back within 5. 3 minutes later, it's Norris again, gets the leader, and it's a one-possession game, 68-66 Jackrabbits, with just over a minute to play. But that's where the rally would end. Fast forward to the final 5 seconds. The Jacks' Jake Biddle ices it with a couple of huge free throws, and SDSU hands USD a second straight heartbreaking home loss, 70-68. It's the first win by a road team in this series since the school's move to Division I, and the biggest difference in this game was on the glass. The Jacks out-rebounded the Coyotes 32-22, including an 8-2 advantage on the offensive end. So the Coyotes will press on against the Pioneers this weekend. What's it going to take to complete the season sweep in Denver? We'll ask the head coach when we return on Coyote Corner. Welcome back to Coyote Corner. Jay Elson, joined by interim head coach Joey James now. And Joey, it was rivalry weekend here on campus for the men's team. NDSU on Thursday, South Dakota State on Saturday. I know when we talked last week, you wanted really to focus one at a time, particularly on NDSU at that point because they were the first one up. And I know you carried those thoughts through the weekend. But overall, now that you can step away from it, just assess what you saw play out, a couple of hard-fought losses for your team.
Yeah, I mean, our guys really battled. Thursday night against North Dakota State, very, very good veteran basketball team coming into the Dome. I thought we had a great crowd. The energy was in there. Got down 11 in the first half. Our guys battled back. Had an opportunity to win the game. Really, really, really battled those guys. And boy, what can I say? Just came up short again, and very disappointing loss. But North Dakota State's got some veteran guys, and Taylor Braun did a nice job of closing the game out on us.
Oh, you talked afterwards. Tale of two halves, it really was. I mean, you got down 11 in the first half. They got out on you early. You made a run, and then they kind of separated themselves again before the end of the half, went in up 11. But in the second half, as we've seen at different points this year, you guys were able to lock down defensively on what a team that was shooting the best out of any team in the country at the Division I level. They came on 50% plus as a team, and you held them to 27% and 22 points in the second half. Most times you do that, you're going to come away with a win.
You know, we did, and that was the key going into halftime is we told our guys we were getting out-rebounded. I thought we were not getting on the 50-50 balls. Defensively, I wouldn't say we did a poor job in the second half because they are a very, very efficient offensive basketball team. But in the second half, we just came out and really doubled the post. We made things uncomfortable for them. We really sat down and started guarding and did a heck of a job rebounding. We out-rebounded them, for the game at the end of the night. But I was really, really proud of the guys' effort in their defensive effort in that second half, and that's what gave us an opportunity to try to win that basketball game.
66-63 loss in the end for you. Then you have to recover from that emotional letdown in just a couple of days, which is a tough task against anybody, let alone your arch rival in South Dakota State. And the Jacks come in here and kind of the same story in some ways as they got out to an early lead. You battled back. You took the lead away from them. But this time you go into the locker room with an advantage, a 1-point lead. But with about 1:10 left in that first half, it was 6. And they made a run on you to close the half. Forsman hits that shot at the buzzer to make it that 1-point game. And that just kind of sucked a little of the momentum out going into the locker room, it felt like.
Yeah, we come out. I thought we came out a little flat in that game. I think they jumped on us 8-2 at one point under that first media timeout. Then we came back and started going back and forth, and then I believe we got up either 6 or 7 points in that first half, and then they closed it out in one-point game at the half, which we were fine with. It's we always talk to our guys about just win a half, and again I've talked about it before. I don't care if it's 1, 5, or 10 points. I just want to win a half, and then come out and do the same thing in the second half. And usually when you do that, the results are pretty good. But yeah, and then we came out in that second half and we were flatter in the second half than we were in the first half. Defensively, we weren't on cue to everything. I thought we did a poor job in the second half to start out, but South Dakota State did a nice job of really getting us on our heels and executing our offense and really pounding that ball inside, and we struggled with that at times.
Yeah, you got down 15, and that was with 10 and a half to go in the ball game, but
credit to your guys. I mean, they battled back. They hit a couple of shots to get things started. Trey Norris scored 5 in a row at one point. Then Casey Kasperbauer, who provided a spark in the first half, did the same in the second half. And you guys closed it within 2 at one point late.
Yeah, we did. And hats off to our guys for doing that. But I just thought that once we got down 15, it was going to be a grinded out type game. And again, Casey did a nice job of coming in and giving us a spark off the bench. And I thought Trey did a nice job down the stretch of that game to give us an opportunity. I thought Trevor had a pretty solid evening against those guys. I mean, it was a physical battle. And I tell you what, they're a good team. I'll never say that those guys battle. I mean, they really do. They're a physical basketball team. I think this is one of Coach Nagy's bigger teams that I think I've ever seen here in my 15 years being a part of this program. But you know what? We got a good team too. And our guys are not going to quit. They're not going to stop battling. And we're going to get back to work and try to figure out a way to win some games here coming down the second half of this stretch.
2 games on the slate this week. Peru State, NAIA opponent coming in Tuesday night, and then to Denver to continue the Summit League schedule on Saturday. And, of course, that's a team that you beat here in Vermillion just a couple of weeks ago.
We got to figure out a way to win on the road, and it's something we'll continue to talk about this week. Denver is very, very good at home. That was a heck of a game that they lost last Thursday against South Dakota State, and then they turned around and beat North Dakota State on Saturday. I was just watching that film. I mean, they really get after you. They've changed a few things up, but we're going to have to go in there and just compete with them and see what we can come up with here. We got to somehow muster up a win, though, on the road in the conference play.
All right. Well, good luck to you. We'll see you back next week. All right. The USD women played their version of rivalry weekend on the road. We're going to have those highlights right after this.
And welcome back. Well, after struggling on the defensive end through their first 4 Summit League contests, something finally clicked for the USD women against Omaha. The Coyotes stifled the Mavericks, holding them to 51 points on 35% shooting and forcing 23 turnovers. Now, all that played a big part in the team's first conference victory, and Thursday, Amy Williams and company looked to replicate that performance on the road in Fargo against rival North Dakota State. As it turned out, the defense was good, but the offense was even better. Picking up first half, Taya Hemiller steps back, pops the 3 to help the Coyotes get out to the early lead. Nicole Seekamp returned after missing the previous 3 games with an ankle injury, and she was up to some of her old tricks. 13 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds for Seekamp in 20 minutes off the bench. Coyotes kept on rolling. Hemiller draws the D on the drive, finds Margaret McLeod for an easy 2, and a couple of minutes later, Seekamp, nice look inside to Bridget Arns. USD shot better than 56% in the first half and led by 11 at the break. The hot shooting continued early in the second. Polly Harrington connects for 3 of her 11 points, and Hemiller follows that up with a 15-footer here. She had a great night. 15 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists to help the Coyotes to their second straight Summit League win, 83-70. The only player to outshine Hemiller on the offensive end for USD was Rachel Contreras. She scored a career-high 28 points, including 6 three-pointers. From there, it was on to Brookings for the South Dakota Showdown, first meeting between USD and SDSU since last year's Summit League championship game. First half, Coyotes wanted to go inside to Polly Harrington, and the strategy paid off early on. She gets 2 early buckets, unfortunately for her and the Yotes. Harrington ran into foul trouble from there, finished with 8 points in just 11 minutes. Most of the offensive production came from the bench in this one. Kelly Stewart drops a jumper for 2 of her 8 points. Freshman Bridget Arns hit all 5 shots she took, and that one got USD within a pair. Seekamp came off the bench for a second straight game. She had a team-high 13 on 4 of 12 shooting. Coyotes hung tough early, but SDSU took control about the midway point of the half. Jacks really caught fire from the outside. Steph Pollock shows some patience and pulls the trigger for 3. Gabby Bover hit one of her own a few possessions later. SDSU did a lot of that. Jacks were 9 of 18 from beyond the arc in the first half, and that gave them all the cushion they would need. South Dakota State goes on to win its 14th straight at Frost Arena, 88-69. The offense just wasn't there for USD on Sunday. The starters were a combined 6 of 30 from the floor and were outscored by their own bench, 45-24. So the Coyotes settle for the weekend split. We'll break it down with head coach Amy Williams when we come back.
And welcome back to Coyote Corner. Jay Elson, joined now by USD women's coach Amy Williams. And Amy, rivalry weekend. Obviously a lot of talk going into this last weekend's game with North Dakota State and South Dakota State. So there's a lot of external meaning placed on these games. How did you approach them as you guys hit the road and went to Fargo starting on Thursday night?
Well, I was really proud of our team for kind of just locking in on each game one at a time, and you know, there's a lot of people wanting to talk about SDSU, USD early in the week, and we knew we were about to play a very good team on their home court up in Fargo Thursday, so I was pretty pleased with my team's ability to stay focused on what we needed to do to win that ball game first. So pretty good effort up there in Fargo, and I thought we started to take some strides in the right direction, and that was a good win for us. And then yesterday wasn't quite as good outcome for us. And you know, South Dakota State played a tremendous first half of basketball up there, and it was a tough going in Frost Arena. But I thought our kids fought hard both games this week.
Well, let's take a look at both of them individually, starting with that one in Fargo. And you talked about taking strides in the right direction. And part of the goal for you, I'm sure, was to build off of what you started last week against Omaha with that win, getting on the board in the conference with that victory over the Mavericks. And so you go up there and try to continue that on the road. And you come out and play a very, very good first half, shoot 56%, hold them in check. And so you go into the break with that big halftime lead and really never let it go.
Yeah, it was a good start for our team. I thought we had some key contributions and got off to a great start. That was kind of the game plan. We knew we couldn't bury ourselves up there on the road, so that was a great to see us kind of attacking and to be able to go in with a little bit of a lead at halftime.
The three-point shot was huge for you. You hit 10 of them on the night. Rachel Contreras hit 6 of them. She was awfully hot from outside.
She had kind of a hot hand. When she gets like that, she can shoot it from deep, and sometimes you're not expecting the shot to go up, and she'll let it fly, and if she's on, and that was a good game for her.
Oh, how about South Dakota State then? I know you know, this was the one as you move on to Brookings on Sunday afternoon, and it was a pretty good back and forth battle early on. It was 19-17 with 10:54 to go in the first half. And then SDSU just kind of ran away from me. They started hitting those outside shots and just, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, just played a very, very strong first half and built that big lead. Kind of the opposite of what you saw in Fargo on Thursday, where you were on the right side of that. This time you were on the wrong side. Right,
and I think that, you know, they had a tremendous, to score 53 points in a half is great effort. And the thing that, you know, we talked about that makes South Dakota State so dangerous, they're just so deep. They can play so many kids, and all those kids are capable shooters and capable of penetrating, and we were really trying to protect from the penetration to the paint, and they made us pay from beyond the arc there in the first half.
This week, one game on the schedule. It's Denver, the travel partner, and you get them at home this time. You played them back on January 12th, the Open Summit League play, a 91-84 loss to the Pioneers. What do you have to do differently this time? Teresa Worth and Morgan Van Riper Rose had big days against you. I'm sure they'll be a big part of the game plan defensively.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to find a way to shut those kids down, and it seems like, you know, we've been really struggling with guarding that three-point line. Fort Wayne, Denver, South Dakota State, everybody hitting a bunch of threes on us, so we're going to have to figure out their shooters and take those looks away from Van Riper Rose. We'll have to do a good job trying to stay in front of Teresa Worth inside and try to limit some of their leading scorers.
All right, well, good luck to you, and we'll see you back here next week.
Sounds good.
All right, Amy. Well, Tyler Flack's athleticism is off the charts, but thanks to a lot of hard work, the rest of his game is starting to catch up. We'll have more on the Coyotes' explosive sophomore after this.
We close tonight with our Coyote Corner Athlete of the Week, and this time it's a sophomore who's growing into a pretty solid college basketball player. David Brown joins us now with more.
Yeah, Jay, Tyler Flack, for all intents and purposes, coaches and teammates say he really still has a lot to work on, but his progression from his freshman year to his sophomore year is indicative that big things are on the horizon. At 6'7" and 205 pounds, sophomore Tyler Flack already has the physical makeup of a big man, but getting used to the actual grind of the college game is something size can't measure.
When I got to college, the height and weight is a lot different, so I really had to get in the weight room, get bigger, and it really, it helped a lot. I can tell from this season and last season.
The Lakeville North graduate is also seeing a steady improvement in his numbers, averaging more points and rebounds in his second season, while continuing to lead the Coyotes in blocks.
He is growing in this program and as a person, and you can kind of see that from last year to this year. He's getting way more comfortable, way more confident in what he's doing, and kind of what we're expecting out of him.
I feel like I'm a lot more comfortable this year, definitely. Attacking the hoop, I feel like I just don't really think about it anymore. I kind of just do it.
But what Flack really needs to do, according to his coaches and teammates, is develop his all-around game from his head to his feet.
His footwork is good. It's not great. Where if you look at Trevor, Trevor's got great footwork, and it makes him look very smooth in the post. Eventually, I think Tyler, his footwork will continue to improve down there, and he'll become much smoother.
Moving forward, Flack's going to, have to be mentally tough enough to get down there on that block and get us some tough buckets, every once in a while. And I think looking forward for him in the future, I think that'll be a big part of his game if he can really step up and, give us a low post presence in the future.
I tell you, just being a sophomore, wait until his junior and his senior year, he's only going to continue to improve, and I think his ceiling is still high, and he still has not reached that ceiling.
Now, Jay, we're only halfway through the Summit League season, but Tyler already has 35 blocks to lead the Coyotes. He had 40 last year, so he's got all the skills, but now he just has to put them all together.
Yeah, definitely an intimidating presence on that defensive end. Good to see that offensive game coming along as well. All right, that is our time for this week. The Coyotes get Denver on the weekend, the women at home, men on the road. We'll be back here to break down both of those games for you next Tuesday night on another episode of Coyote Corner.